Welcome to Roadshow's AutoComplete, your weekly roundup of the biggest news in the automotive world. This week we have news on James Bond's DB5, self-piloting scooters from Ninebot, and Ford's Mustang-inspired electric SUV. But first, let's start with the Audi RS6 wagon. Audi's RS line of cars has been coming to the US for a few years, but there's one that's not made the jump across the Atlantic, much to the chagrin of automotive enthusiasts, and that's the RS6 Avant. Surely, there are plenty of reasons why Audi would have kept its fast wagon out of our dealerships, probably mostly because wagon sales are a tiny fraction of overall sales, but hey, sometimes there are more important things than that to consider. Namely, those pencil pushers from Stuttgart and Falterbach have had the fast wagon segment to themselves for far too long, and the boys from Ingolstadt are ready to pee in their metaphorical Wheaties. The 2020 RS6 Avant will have a twin-turbo V8 that makes 592 horsepower and 590 pounds-feet of torque, massive brakes, bulgy wheel arches, and the biggest exhaust tips this side of a coal-rolling Cummins. What do you do if you're a die-hard Audi fan, and then you and your family decide to go on vacation, leaving your precious Quattro all-wheel drive sporting Uber-wagon behind? Are you just supposed to turn up at the airport car rental stand and drive a random mid-sized sedan from a American manufacturer? Well, if you're a new Audi buyer or lessee, you don't have to go through the indignity of driving anything without 4 rings on the hood, thanks to the Always Audi program. Basically, it tosses in a week's worth of silver car rentals in with your purchase, thereby assuring you that the only sacrifices you'll be making on vacation will involve Legoland and your wallet. Electrified scooters are big business now, with companies like Bird and Lime and even Uber and Lyft getting in on the action. But that's not how you roll. You're an independently minded person, and so you are buying your own scooter, and only the techiest scooter will do. Well, Ninebot has good news for you because it's been working on an electric scooter that can pilot itself to and from a charger like some kind of real-world roaming Roomba. The company isn't super specific about how its scooter will manage that kind of autonomy, but it'd be pretty cool if it worked. Still, we bet it can't do a sweet tail whip at the skate park. One of the best parts about Monterey's Car Week is seeing the bananas auction prices for weird cars. One that really jumped out at us this time was the sale of one of 3 extant Aston Martin DB5s built to full James Bond spec with working gadgets. How much did it go for? How about $6.38 million? This particular example is probably the best of the bunch because it underwent a major restoration in Switzerland, and all of its gadgets work as they did when they were new. We can only imagine what kind of a special hell it must have been trying to get all that 60s technology working. The Honda Civic Si used to be the hottest Civic we got here in the US. But just because that's no longer true doesn't mean it's not worth a look. Especially now, the 2020 Si is getting a bunch of upgraded tech features for only a tiny price increase over 2019. And that, coupled with its excellent gearbox and tractable, fun-to-rev engine, mean that it's one hell of a bargain. Among the new features are LED headlights, Honda sensing as standard, as well as a shorter final drive ratio, for peppier acceleration, you know. For just $25,000, it's worth a look if you're shopping for a practical and affordable car that's not a total snooze fest. Ford's been teasing its controversial Mustang-inspired electric SUV for well over a year now, and with a recent announcement, it looks like that teasing is going to continue, at least until November. Now, while Ford has said that it will give the world a look at the new model in November, it isn't clear if that will be another teaser image or, and we feel like this is more likely, a reveal at the LA Auto Show. Those of you with particularly keen memories may recall that Ford initially planned on calling this thing the Mach 1, until the internet started sharpening pitchforks and lighting torches, at which point it pivoted to the name Mach E, which, actually sounds cool, but we're not sure if that'll make it to production. Fingers crossed. Harley's LiveWire electric motorcycle is a big deal for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that it brings all kinds of new tech to a brand not necessarily known for that. Case in point is the fact that Harley will be bringing its HD Connect service to most of the models in its lineup. The service works through a phone app and lets you monitor a number of features from your phone even if you're not near your bike, provided that there's a cell signal. It's kind of like OnStar, but for 2 wheels. Also on the trickle-down agenda, and this is truly a big deal, is the Reflex Defensive Rider System, or RDRS. RDRS is Harley speak for electronically linked brakes. That means when you pull the front brake lever, it acts on the rear brake too. Lean-sensitive anti-lock brakes, traction control, vehicle hold control, helpful for stopping on hills, and tire pressure monitoring. RDRS won't be available on all models, but you can get it on most of them as standard, or in some cases as an option. Ford's not the only one getting in on the teaser game. Aston Martin's been playing as well, though in that case, it's for its forthcoming DBX SUV model. Thankfully, we now know when to expect that probable cash cow from the brand, and that is going to be December of this year. What else do we know? Well, while it was initially envisioned as being an EV, we now know that it'll be powered by good old-fashioned dinosaur squeezins, at least initially, largely due to the resurgence of Aston Martin's sister brand, Lagonda. Aston is also quick to point out that the DBX will be a real Aston Martin, which is something we've heard from other manufacturers that are dipping their toes into the money-heavied waters of SUV manufacturing. Still, we bet it'll be decent, and probably a reasonable rival for offerings from brands like Bentley and Lamborghini. Care by Volvo was arguably the first vehicle subscription service to truly capture the interest of the automotive buying public, but its implementation hasn't been trouble-free. In fact, it seriously rubs some dealers the wrong way, and several dealers in California have decided to do something about it. What exactly? Well, they've gone and narked to the California DMV, alleging that Care by Volvo is in violation of a number of state regulations and statutes. The coalition of new car dealers that sparked the investigation asked the DMV to have its results back within 180 days, so it'll likely be a while before we see any results. Mercedes is building an electric van based on its V-class of internal combustion engine-powered vans that we know as the Metris. The electrified version will be known as the EQV and should pack a range somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 miles, though keep in mind that's on the European WLTP cycle, which is a bit more generous than our own EPA cycle. Still, with all the practicality that we experienced in our own long-term Metris, aka Wu-Tang van, we can't think of too many ways to improve it that would be as transformative as an electric drivetrain. We cannot wait to drive this thing. One of the less convenient aspects of owning an EV and having to charge it on the go isn't necessarily a lack of charging stations anymore. It's that many of them are on separate networks with separate billing and separate membership plans. It's kind of lame. However, EVgo and Electrify America, two of the largest nationwide networks, are now working together to simplify that process by sharing their networks with each other. This effectively opens up 3,000 DC fast chargers and around 1,000 level 2 chargers around the country to EV owners. It's awesome, and we hope that more networks go this route. Hyundai is working on a new EV concept called the 45, and it's going to pull the sheet off of it at the Frankfurt Motor Show next month. For now, though, we're only seeing its backside, and it definitely looks like something that would be right at home in Cyberpunk 2077. Hyundai says that 45 will be a taste of its future styling direction, and provided they don't make the front end look like, I don't know, a Pontiac Aztek or something, we're probably going to be pretty into it. That's it for AutoComplete this week. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay notified of all new videos on Roadshow, and we'll see you again next week.